Back here at home now, a man learns his punishment for a gruesome attack that was caught on camera. The violence too horrific to show you. He stabbed his psychiatrist 7 times in front of shocked workers. Now at 3, Aria Janelle with how long this man will spend in prison.
Jason Hollis received the maximum sentence today, meaning he'll spend the next 11 years in prison. The judge said she was in shock while watching the horrific crime.
A judge couldn't believe what she saw after watching Adam Brown stabbed 7 times by his own patient.
I feel like a victim just by seeing the video.
Brown was Jason Hall's psychiatrist for 2 years at Signature Health.
The attack on me was also unprovoked. He had no history of violent behaviors towards me.
Back on April 24th, Halls turned their relationship into a nightmare. He stabbed Brown in the neck with a knife during their session. You can see in the security video Brown running from his office holding his neck. Halls then comes out and calmly walks after him. The rest of this attack is just too violent to show on TV. It wasn't until after Brown was stabbed 7 times that security arrives and pulls out a gun when the violence finally stops. Brown thankful to be alive.
When I woke up, I could not speak or swallow. I had a tracheostomy so that I could breathe.
Brown says he also suffers long-lasting impacts like anxiety, depression, and PTSD, something the judge and him agree that his coworkers are also struggling with.
All of the employees who were there that day.
Halls pleaded guilty to attempted murder. During his sentencing on Tuesday, he addressed the court, but kept his remarks short and to the point.
Your Honor, I just want to say that I'm sorry for what I did.
His attorney asked for the judge to not send him to prison, but to allow him to get the mental health help he needs. But the judge disagreed.
I think this is an instance where the max is not only justified, but I think necessary.
In Cleveland, I'm Aria Janelle, 19 News.